This one, I've been looking forward to this one because earlier last week we interviewed Ben and I hacked his name up something fierce. I called him all sorts of funny things, but hey, we've got the elder of the Carcieris. Did I do that right?
Excellent, you did it perfect.
Yes, the first fucking time. I can't believe I did that. We are with Nic Carcieri. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very, very special guest, one Nic Carcieri. Thank you so much, my friend, for spending the time with us, the fans.
Thank you for having me. I've been seeing you doing a lot of these things, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Man, we've been having fun, and I know, we like to focus on who we're talking about right now, but this is number 2 of 3. I do 3 a night after work. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I do 4 on Saturdays, sometimes 5 on Sundays.
You're a machine.
I'm going crazy right now. But the point being, because I ramble, just follow me. If you stick with me, it's much easier. I just had on Ala Ding Ding. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's from my area.
Yep.
Holy shit. I pissed him off so bad. Oh my God. I can't wait to watch that back. Woo, that was fun. Oh God. Anywho, we are with Nic Carcieri, and man, I only know just a smidge. So what we do is we pull the curtain back a little bit. We talk to the fans like a couple of Goombas hanging out, talking wrestling. And Nic Carcieri, I can't believe I said that 3 times correctly already.
You got it. You got it.
Again, thanks for the time. But I want to start with, we got this whole mess going on. You, the fam, everybody's good right now?
Yes. There's a lot going on in the world. And, with us, it's especially, we got to be especially careful. My real job, when I'm not doing wrestling stuff, I'm a firefighter paramedic, so I'm out there every day. But we do our best to keep safe and keep protected, when we're out there dealing with the public. But so far, knock on wood, me, the family, we're all doing good.
That's fantastic to hear. And from me and everybody watching, and I hope it's just not my mom and dad, because if it is, I apologize.
That's okay.
From me and all the fans, thank you, sir, for what you do, because right now is one of the craziest times we've ever been, ever.
It is. It's it's a strange situation. This past month has just been, and it seems sometimes on a daily basis, there's new information, there's new things going on. And, we all just got to kind of hunker down and do our best to, take care of each other while we get through this,
Absolutely. Because on the side of doing this stuff and going to wrestling, I've been at a pizza joint for a while, and I'm essential, if you will. I don't know. We do a lot of takeout, our delivery rather. We do a lot of delivery. So I've been kind of out there dodging the COVID a little bit. I've been bobbing and never mind. I've been doing my fair share, trying to keep safe, washed up. I wash my hand. I wash my ass. You have to wash your ass. And, yeah, not in that order, though. You want to go hiney first, then hands, probably.
Probably is the best idea, yeah.
Yeah. But enough of my hijinks. We like to have fun on here. Take it on the lighter side. And now you're very involved with wrestling. Not only as he stated, a referee. I don't know what to call him. Now, Nick, Ref Nick, or is it Ref Carcieri to mess with the fans?
Yeah, Ref Nick is fine, depending on who you talk to. Depending on where I'm reffing, sometimes I have strange names. Bobby Rossi, who I know you've had on there, Bobby Rossi likes to refer to me as Nick Knox. After
Nick
the great
Knox.
Well, there's that great referee at AEW, Rick Knox. So I'm Nick Knox. We're both bald. We're both refs. I don't know. So it's fine with me. But it's fun.
You know what? I think that's going to be my new name to you too, because that's amazing. I love that.
But it's definitely it's definitely fun. It's a good gig. I like it.
Hey, you should make up a face page, Nick Knox. You never know where that could go.
Yeah. I'm probably behind on that. I should have a gimmick page. Most people do, but
some guys do and some guys don't. And one specifically, Dirtbag Dan. Again, I don't know if you're familiar. The dude's a little loopy. Great guy, but he's still a little loopy. He refuses to make a gimmick page. He's like, fuck that. No way. No how.
I mean, in today's world, everything is social media, so it's probably probably not a bad thing to have one. But I'm out there on Facebook, and it's no real. I mean, it's not like I have I'm a referee. There's not much kayfabe going on with referees. It's
Right. And hey, we love referees so much that we celebrated Zebra Week last
I
week.
know. I was very happy about that.
I know, and I'm sorry we couldn't get you on.
That's
There's
okay.
more referees that I really wanted to have on. But man, we had the likes of Ref Miggy, El Ref, Ref Blue Shoes. I love Blue Shoes Gina. She's such an
Oh,
amazing.
Gina's the best. I've worked a couple of shows with her. I'm so proud of her. She's out there. She's doing she's down there in Chikara now. She's all over the place. She's been on IWTV with Beyond. I'm so proud of her. She's such a good kid, and it makes me happy. I've worked a couple of shows with her and love working with her, and it's so good to see her.
Yeah, same here. And I'm looking at the other spectrum as a fan, seeing her rise up so quickly. I'm like, yeah, you go,
Yeah.
Blue Shoes,
Yeah.
But we also had, I don't like to really say his name much, Ref Bill Thompson. We've got a weird relationship. I mean, it is what it is. He kicks me a lot. That's really, yeah.
I don't know him well. I did work a show with him once, and he was super nice to me. And it was when I was still really kind of new at reffing, so he had some great advice for me, and it was good because he's more seasoned, and it was great working with him. And I hope to do it again. He's a really nice guy.
Definitely a couple of things you pointed out. He's definitely seasoned. He smells like adobo at times. Like he might be over seasoned. And another thing, I mean, as much as I jest about him, he is one of the most nicest people I have ever met in my life. And like you said, you're a newer guy in the wrestle and the referee thing. And he could hand off advice to anybody, no matter where they are in their game. I have to give my hats off to Ref Phil. He's a fantastic guy as much as I jazz him. But he kicks me. I mean, really? What the hell?
I don't know. It doesn't seem right, but
Ref Quinn. We had Ref Quinn on here. Have you ever worked with Ref Quinn at all on any shows?
Yes, I have worked a couple of shows with him. Again, a super nice guy. And I'll tell you a quick little story. The last show I worked with him was UFO wrestling up outside of Boston. This was maybe not too long ago, a month or so ago. It was before all the COVID stuff. And the Masshole Mike McCarthy had a match going on in the ring. And I knew there was going to be the ref he had in the ring, there was going to be a ref bump, and Kevin Quinn was supposed to come out and finish the match. So, I'm watching the match, and I'm just kind of backstage, and because Mike's a great guy, and I'm watching his match, and I meander back, behind in the locker room, and there's Kevin, and he's talking to somebody, and I'm like, did something change? And he's like, why? I'm like, aren't you still doing the spot in the McCarthy match? He goes, yeah. I go, they're in the ring. He's like, oh my God. So he ran out. Luckily, it was early enough that he didn't miss his spot or anything. But so afterwards, he was like, thank you so much. He was just jabbering away. He didn't realize who was in the ring, But again, another really nice guy and super, he's doing great stuff. And, he's done some really good matches with some people, and super down to earth, super humble, good advice, and just, nice guy.
I mean, I know he's a nice guy and all, but I was a little nervous because I wasn't sure how he was away from the ring because I've never really talked to him. Oh my God, he was amazing. He was actually hanging around him. He was dressed. He was hanging around in bed with the better half. We met the better half.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, these are the things on Stirring the Pot. Like that story you just told us. The fans, we would never hear these kind of things. So that's why we kind of do this. And I thank you for sharing and being open with us. That's very cool of you, Mr. Knox.
When I first started getting out there, he gave me a little rib. He was like, hey, I'm the bald ref guy around here. Who do you think you are? So, but he's got a beard now, so I don't have the beard. So,
No, you can definitely tell each other, not even from the beard, though. You're one of the tallest refs I've ever seen in my life, man.
I am. That has been I won't say a curse. It is. There are still some old school promoters that don't like a tall referee in the ring. It's getting away from that, like everything in the world. The world is changing, and sort of those old school mentalities are kind of kind of going on the wayside. But in the beginning, there were promotions that wouldn't book me just because I'm 6'2", and but luckily I've been able to get into a few good ones and sort of I don't want to say change people's minds, but at the end of the day, you go in there as long as you do your job and do it well. It shouldn't matter how tall you are. And I had a great conversation with Bryce Remsburg recently in a seminar, and he gave me some good advice about just changing my stance so at least it doesn't seem as obvious. Where I can open my legs, change my stance a little, kind of keep a lower profile, so at least it doesn't look like I'm towering above. God forbid I was in there with Robbie the Giant and Bullet or something, but
It's those little nuances that make what we talk about a lot on here, making the package. If it's a gimmick of a wrestler, if it's a manager, if it's a ring announcer, a referee, every aspect, it takes a whole package, and those little things like you're saying. Could you explain to the fans though, if they don't quite know what we're kind of trying to explain here? Why is it tall? Why is it kind of detrimental a little bit to be a taller guy?
Well, in the old days, the idea is the match going on. You want the focus to be on the wrestlers, and part of it is you have two guys that, however big they are, you don't want a ref in there who might be actually bigger than one of the guys because it might take some of the focus away from the wrestlers. And also, when it comes to the story of the match and everything, and a lot of times as a ref, we're interacting with the heel and that to help tell that story. So the idea is that the heel has to respect the referee, but you don't want the heel necessarily afraid of the referee. And here I am, 6'2", 225, 230, depending on the day. I might be, I don't want to tower over this heel, because then how is he really going to stand up to me and give me an attitude where I look like I could squash him, So, but you play with it, and that's sort of like I said, kind of the old school. And again, now it's more, there's people that get away from that. And as long as we're all in there and we're all on the same page and we're telling the story, but it does on my job, I do have to sort of, sometimes I have to change my style and how I'm interacting with guys, to give them a little space or whatever, just to kind of feel it out and make sure the heel still gets his role and the babyface and everybody, because we're all part of it. All three of us or all five of us in a tag match or however many guys are in that ring, we're all telling that same story. So we want to make sure everybody's doing their job.
Now, communicating with the men and women behind the scenes when you have to come out and provide that performance. Now, with I'll use the Middlesex Express because I just absolutely love those guys.
Fantastic.
The Middlesex Express have a match coming up, and again, I'm going to use two fantastic ones that I've seen them both go at it. Amazing. Team Espana. Yeah. They have a match coming up. Okay. Now, ref Nick Knox is about to come out, and he has to do his job. Now, are you guys kind of really getting it all together behind there, or is it just the wrestlers? Is the referee as included in that? I mean, because we all have to have our spots, like you said. Sure. We have to know what's going on. We have to know our place and everything. Yeah. So do you get to talk to these men and women before you're coming out, or is it on the fly kind of thing?
Well, definitely it really depends on who it is, because it can be either. Now, there are guys where what I try to do, and I don't always have time, depending on how many matches are on the card, how many matches I have, but what I like to do is when guys are talking about their match, I like to just kind of be there and listen, and just listen to what they're talking about, listen to where they're going. Obviously, I listen for any big points I need to know, that sort of thing. But I like to have an idea of what the story is and what we're going to do, what they have planned. But then there are guys who, and I'll tell you this, I recently worked a top rope show, and Ryan Waters was wrestling Travis Gillette. Now, Ryan is fantastic, calls everything in the ring. So that is, I mean, look, we're not giving away secrets here that I knew what the finish was, but that's all I knew. So that is, now I got to keep up with what they're doing. But also sometimes that in that particular match, in a lot of matches, a lot of times I'm communicating between the two of them, guy's in the corner. I'm going to check on him in the corner, and he's telling me, okay, now I got to go tell the other guy what the next spot is or something like that. So in a match like that where there's everything is called on the fly, it's sort of like, okay, just kind of keep up and try to anticipate where they're going and try to anticipate so I'm not in the wrong spot and get in their way, and
Yeah.
But so it can depend, and a lot of but when guys, like when I can, I like to kind of listen in on what they're calling, and so I have an idea of. I don't necessarily need to know every minute of the match, but I have to kind of get an idea of where we're going with this, and so that I know how to, and what my role is going to be, certainly.
It's got to be very interesting because where I'm going with this is you have multiple matches to perform.
Yeah.
Because you're not just a wrestler getting in the ring, doing your thing, getting out. Now it's time for the next gentleman or lady to come out and do their thing. You're coming out multiple times an evening. So getting all of these stories and trying to really keep a handle on everything. This kid's not that bright. How do you kind of keep that shit organized?
Well, you try. I mean, sometimes it's harder than others. Again, it depends on how many matches are on the card, how many referees. I'm part of the regular crew on Thursdays at XWA, and generally there's 3 of us there. There's me, there's Tony P, and there's Travis. But sometimes it might only be 2 of us, and then so you might, generally. So it's like, okay, I know what matches I have on the card. I got, at least I got to know, okay, who's going over, whatever. And then if I can, I kind of listen and, listen a little. But sometimes, like you said, I might be out there, doing a match, and then I come back and, say Tony's out there. But as I come back, now I have the next match. So I'm like, okay, what's going on, guys? What are we doing?
It's got to be crazy to have to reset that button every single time because you erase what the hell just happened. You're like, man, that was fan effing. Oh shit, I got work to do. Hold on.
And some guys are easier to work with than others. The more you work with people, you kind of, they're more comfortable with you. You're more comfortable with them. And
now you spoke of the Ryan Waters situation where he called stuff on the fly because he's just that caliber. You can.
I think that's just him. I don't.
Exactly. Now, on the fly, the adrenaline has got to be just a little bit juiced up more because now you're like, you're kind of keeping a little more like, wait, that question mark is a little bit there more than the more you know. And me as a fan, I absolutely love that shit, man. Don't tell me nothing.
Right. That's definitely from a fan's perspective. Yeah. But the calling on the fly, it's the biggest problem with that is trying to anticipate where they're going. And sometimes they don't even know because, a big thing is for the refs is, being in the right position. You don't want to be out of position and there's all kinds of things, there's hard cams to think about and whatever. And there's all sorts of little things you don't like, you don't want to cross in front of the hard cam. You don't want to walk in front, there's all these little things that you try not to do, but if they're calling it on the fly, sometimes you don't know where they're going. Oh crap, I'm in the wrong spot and I got to adjust. And the other thing is, during the course of a match, the refs will have, the wrestlers, they have, the falsies, the big fall. And so you try, as a ref, I try to have an idea of, not exactly how many, but if I know the finish is coming in so you get that big falsie before the finish, so I can react to say, you get that almost 3 count, but but on the fly, sometimes you don't know. And you're just kind of trying to, keep it, trying to build it, but at the same time, you don't know when it's coming, if that makes sense. I don't know. Makes sense in my head. It might not.
It's the anticipation of what the hell is going to happen.
Right.
That's what we call wrestling. I love that shit. No, for real. Because, and you said, your reaction. I love your reactions because it's not only that man or woman or man or whatever's going on in that ring. Yeah. It's yourself as well. Using your face, using your body gestures. Dude, I love what you bring to the table as a referee. You're fantastic, man.
Thank you. And some of that is, that's a balance too, because there are some refs, and I mentioned him earlier, Bryce Remsburg, who's now AEW, he's big on that. If you ever
Yeah.
watch his matches, he reacts, and sometimes he may overreact, and he'll sell big moves and everything. But that's not always. Sometimes you gotta know where you're working, because some promotions don't like that. Like WWE, those refs, Vince, and I got all the respect for the world what they do there, but most of their refs are just in the background and they're just there to count you. They don't want that. They don't want and so it all varies from promotion to promotion and who you're working for. On the indies, it's a little bit not quite as strict, and I feel that I kind of lean towards that. If I'm reacting and I'm selling something, it's just I'm hope sell the product. Guy does a big move, I react to it. It's like, wow, try to get the crowd react to it as well.
It's that package, my friend. It takes so much to have that one performance in the ring. Never mind the one performance, but the whole event, man. It takes like an army to get all of these things, all of this stuff going on. Now, how long have you been a referee, if you don't mind me asking?
About 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I started training. I've been involved in wrestling for a while now, and then I started training as a referee almost 3 years ago with Brickhouse Baker. And in the first, at first I was doing kind of little stuff. I did some like birthday parties and some fundraiser shows. You kind of do these little things to get your foot in the door and do some smaller promotions, and then kind of building up now. And I feel like, especially the last, say 6 months or so, I've really kind of gotten real comfortable in there and kind of hit a good stride. And part of that is, Mike Antonucci from XWA, really nice guy. And he was nice enough on the Thursday nights. He'd give me a match here or two. Like I came and I said, hey, I've been training, and he would give me a match, and come the next week. All right, come next week, I'll give you another match. Well, last year he just had a problem where Tony P and Travis, his two main guys, weren't there. Tony was on vacation and Travis got hurt. So I kind of, Mike was like, he was like, all right, you next couple of weeks, I need you. So I, was able to kind of be there on a regular basis and get a lot of matches. And Rich Bass, who doesn't ref for XWA anymore, he's more of a manager role over there. But anybody who knows Rich Bass, he's been one of the best in this area for years, and he still refs in Chaotic and Top Rope and everything.
Right.
But having him there, having to do a match, and then come back, and then having Rich there to sort of, be kind of a mentor and bounce some things and hey, watch this, do this. Like it was so good. It was so helpful, and so having him there sort of on a weekly basis really kind of helped me. And now I feel much more comfortable out there. And then, and Tony's great. And, and I've known Tony a long time, so it's great working with him and everything. So it's really coming together, XWA, and I've been doing some Top Rope shows and UFO and starting to get out there more and more. So I'm definitely enjoying it.
You sound, the way you speak about your experiences now, especially getting that Rich Bass, man, what character and a half that guy can play. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
He knows exactly where he needs to be exactly every time. I don't know. The dude's a genius when it comes to the wrestling, because, man, he pisses us off bad.
He plays his role well. And I'll tell you a funny story. So it was at XWA, and he's out there, and he was managing I forget what he was, but anyway, he was managing a match, and he was doing his thing. So I wasn't reffing at the time. So Mike Antonucci, he goes in the back. He says, "Listen, go out there and throw Rich out." He's like, "Tell him I said it," but he said, tell him he's got to leave ringside." So I'm like, "All right." So I go out there and I get in Rich's face, and I whisper to him, Mike sent me out here. I said, "You're out of here. That's it. You got to go in the back." And he and I start jabbering, and so he says, "Throw me over your shoulder and carry me out." So I'm like, so he refused to go. So I pick him up, I put him over my shoulder like a fireman carry, and I march out of the the XWA event, and he's kicking and screaming the whole way. It was fantastic.
The crowd must have ate that shit.
Yeah. They did. They did. It was a lot of fun. And I've gotten, I know you recently talked to, King Leone. He's punched me out a couple of times. It's fun. I love being part of the show. It's great.
taking the bumps. You don't mind?
No, actually, when I started training, and I went to Brick House and I said, I wanted to learn how to be a referee. He's like, that's fine. He's like, you got to learn to bump. He's like, you got to learn to bump. You got to learn, not that I'm a wrestler, but he said, you got to learn what's going on. He said, it's going to make you a better referee. And it does. If I know a little bit, in that way I kind of can anticipate things that I know what guys are doing. But, I had to learn how to take a bump and I had to learn all that stuff. So, it was definitely, it's definitely fun, but so I don't mind going out and taking a ref bump here and there and, getting to do the the old slow count, when you get knocked out, oh, he's coming to us, one, two, it's great. You can play it out,
If you're ever on a show with Ref Bill again, could you do the same thing you did with Rich Bass? That would be amazing.
Throw him over my shoulder, carry him out.
Yes. Oh my God! As you're talking about Rich Bass doing it, I'm envisioning it because Rich Bass is so good. But then I replace it with Ref Bill. But as you were finishing the story, and I go, that would be effing money. The XWA Center. Not to take away from anybody else, but you're from the Rhode Island area, correct?
Yes. I am from Rhode Island. Yes.
XWA Center is fan-effing-tastic. They have that cool building. They got the cool setup. I had Jose Perez on talking with us, Flaming Chop and such, and his roles are at XWA. Man, I miss that area so much, the XWA and the Chop Shop Bulls, because I haven't been there in quite some time.
Yeah.
So I got to drag my skinny ass up to that area and have some fun.
Yeah, hopefully when the world goes back to normal, and wrestling comes back. But the event center, the XWA event center, when Mike moved in there, it was a blank canvas, and he and Jose did a lot of work in there. I know Jose. I was around there in the beginning when they were building everything, and Jose was spending a lot of time in there, constructing everything, and it's a great setup. It really is, and I've been in there for some good shows, and they can pack that place and they do pay-per-view out of there and all kinds of stuff. So
absolutely, man. It's a one-stop kind of thing because they do the bigger shows and they have to grab their gear and move over and kind of build their setup again. But when you go to the XWA Center and you go there the following Thursday and the following Thursday, you get to this place and you get just so nice and comfortable at this place, and you have so much fun, and everybody's really cool, and the shows are always fantastic, and the personalities that you see coming in there, the names are insane that go in and out of that XWA Center.
Yeah, they do. They get some good people in there, and it's a lot of fun being there. And you mentioned the Chop Shop, and the Chop Shop is another sort of. It's got its own personality, the Chop Shop, and I, the Chop Shop, I have talked about RWA a lot, RWA, I'm very involved with them, and the Chop Shop in general. And the great thing about that level of wrestling there is it's opportunities. It gives a lot of people opportunities. I was recently, a few months back, I was at a Chaotic show, and Chaotic is great. Chaotic has a wonderful product, and they really good, Brian Fury and their product out there. And I'm counting on their show, and there was like 9 people on that show that had come through RWA and the Chop Shop at some point, And some of it is guys early on in their career, kind of learning their craft, and then they move on to bigger things, which is fantastic. Sometimes it's guys that have been doing something, a while, and they want to change something. They want to try something new. They want to try a new role. You mentioned Rich Bass when he was going from the referee to now high-class Rich Bass, the manager. He started doing, early on, he was doing some of that at RWA, and it's sort of kind of figuring out this new thing. And then he's taken that on the road to bigger things. So places like RWA and the Chop Shop, a lot of times it's about opportunity for guys. And sometimes that gets lost. Yes, it's a smaller product, and the Chop Shop is small, and you get maybe 75 people in there, and you're packing the place. But if you think about people, when it's right, it's people doing good wrestling, and T Phoenix giving people opportunities to try something new and to have a stage to do their thing on. and then sometimes they go on to bigger things, and that's, that's great. I mean, there's Santana and Ortiz. Just we were talking about AEW earlier. When they were starting to branch out of New York, where was one of the first places they were? They were at RWA at the Chop Shop, and then here they are, and on the big stage. So, so it's a really great environment, and both of those are really great environments to be part of.
In their own right, because like you said, they have their own vibe. Each of them has their own vibe. And again, the Chop Shop, that's a one, like I say, one-stop shop, because you go there and their ring is already set up, and you don't have to do it. And man, the first time I ever went there was at nighttime with my nephew. I was scared shitless because that whole setup, bro. I'm like, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
We park in that big parking lot, but I didn't know to go down that dirt parking lot to where the buildings meet.
Yeah.
The address. So me and my nephew, we get out of the car, we walk down the sidewalk to the front of the building.
Sure.
And again, the street is made of cobblestone. There's probably a good freaking half a mile worth of cobblestone street there. And you're driving down this thing at night, and the building is just absolutely gigantic. It's like 17 million fucking blocks long. And then you look over. So we walk around, we see 225. We knock on the door like we're at the right place. Nobody's answering. So I take my foot and I start kicking the door. There's wrestling here. I know it. And somebody's going to answer. In the meantime, there was a guy who's from Massachusetts. He just kind of strolled up around the corner. He's like, hey, is this where wrestling is? I go, me and you are trying to find that out right now. Some guy comes walking out of the door with an air conditioner, and he goes, what the hell do you want? I go, wrestling, man. He goes, it's not fucking here. And I go, but where's the wrestling? It says two. I said the 225.
225 code answer, yeah.
And I'm like, it says 225. That's what the door says. Here we are. Where's the wrestling? Like that. And my nephew, he's pulling on the back of my shirt. He's like, stop, kind of thing. So the guy goes, I don't know, try down that fucking dirt driveway. That's where everybody hangs out.
Yeah.
So I look down there and I go, I hope we make it back to the car. So we go down. And again, it's at night,
Yeah.
So we get down, we make our way in, you walk down the hallway, you take a right, and son of a bitch, in this old industrial building, there's wrestling. Where you put a ring, they do it. I'm like, dude, this is amazing.
It's a good little setup. You should have seen the before we were there, the old Chop Shop, which was in Olneyville, which was up. It was like, I don't even know what the building was. There was like a storefront on the first floor, and it was up on the second floor. It was a lot smaller than that Chop Shop. There was one bathroom. It was, but that was where I first kind of started coming around RWA, and it was like a great environment. Like RWA was like a little club, it's the Renegade Wrestling Alliance, and they're like, it was just all attitude and but it's fun. And then the Chop Shop. We have a nice setup over there as well. And you said the ring is right there. We do training there. Brickhouse, that's where he does his training. So yeah, it's fun.
And I know you mentioned, when we were doing, we don't compare because, nobody's better than anybody, but if one is larger than the other, that doesn't mean that one is better than the other.
No,
but
not at all.
Point being, I've been in that place when it was slam jammed, like on your Legacy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Holy shit, the vibe in that place is like, dude, this is pretty effing cool around here.
Yeah. And believe me, the quality of wrestling there at RWA and everything is right there. We're not, it's the guys who wrestle RWA are all trained, and there's no, and there's some guys that can go with anybody. And, the nice thing about, there's been some other promotions that kind of come through the Chop Shop. You got Proving Ground, you got Watch This Fight and stuff. And, where we have people coming from places like Chikara, in Philadelphia and everything, and bringing them in and having our guys, our Chop Shop guys, wrestle with these guys and having great matches. So it's not, the quality is there. When I say smaller, it's just on a smaller scale,
Right. Exactly. Now we were mentioning how the talent that is mainstay around the Rhode Island area is some of my most favorite, and it's no bullshit. It's not to lick anybody's ass. It's some of my most favorite characters in wrestling, some of my most favorite people that I've ever met in wrestling, period. But man, you guys, very story driven, which is not always you don't always find it, because not all wrestling, for some reason, not all wrestling companies tell a story every single time in every single match, and one's got to be quite different, whatever the case may be. But you guys are always telling a fantastic story, and I've been to, like you were mentioning a couple of them, and man, I haven't been, and I kick myself in the ass because I'm actually talking to the guy who runs the show is Watch This Fight Wrestling. And you were talking about Chikara guys coming in and wrestling the local talent through, in the chop shop. I'm going to mention a name first before we get into that.
Sure.
I've seen Robbie E through that chop shop time and time again. Not only just him as a higher name, if you will, somebody that and now he was going there regularly, and he knew he was right on that cusp of going to WWE, man. And guys like that aren't afraid to keep those nice cooler places circulating like that, because you get some more eyes, the guys get more experience, he puts them over and stuff like that. I mean, the chop shop is effing amazing, really. And now you're talking about the Chikara guys bringing them in with your mixture. One that stands out to me is Sean Leader versus Ophidian.
Yeah.
And Sean Leader was so stoked like that. He was looking forward to that match so much. Yeah. And I know that you are kind of the higher brass of Watch This Fight. We're going to get into that. But since you are, could you give us a little something on that match specifically? Because I love Sean Leader, man.
Well, I do know the match you're talking about. That was for a promotion called Outside the Box, but I was there for that match.
Yeah, my bad. I thought it was
that's
for
okay.
Watch This Fight.
No, that's okay. That's all right. That was a great match. But it's okay. But I can use that, because at Watch This Fight, we do a lot of the same thing. We've had some of the Chikara guys up. We've had Icarus up. We've had, Boomer Hatfield and Molly McCoy, Danger Hawk, these guys. And, and what they're doing down there at the Wrestle Factory in Philadelphia, it's such a, with Quackenbush and everything, it's such a great product. So part of the challenge of running a promotion, especially, you can talk about Rhode Island, and we do have some great talent in Rhode Island, but there's only so many wrestlers. And there's, these guys, you can see these guys all the time. So, trying to put together a match or some matchups that people don't normally see. You're not going to see it every day at the shop. You're not going to see Sean Leader Ophidian every week at the chop shop. You're not going to see Kellen Thomas and Icarus every week. But if we can put these matches together, it gives the fans something cool to see. It gives our chop shop guys something to get excited about. And I know for a fact Sean Leader was super stoked because he's a big fan, and to work a guy like Ophidian, And when I watched this fight, when I had Icarus up and working Kellen Thomas, Kellen was a big fan. He had been watching Chikara for years. He had taken seminars with Quackenbush. So I was like, "Hey, Kellen, I got Icarus coming up. Do you want to work?" Yes. I couldn't even finish the sentence. Kellen's like, "Yes, I want to work him," and they had a great match, And but it also it gives the guys a little something to get excited about, because one thing I found when I put on my my promoter hat, take off the ref shirt and put the booker hat on. Guys who are pros will give you 100% every time. You tell them a match, they're going to give you 100% every time, 110% every time. But if you can give them something that they are excited for, then they'll kick it up even more. Like if you say, you put a match together and it's somebody that maybe they've never worked, or somebody they have seen and have wanted to work, they'll kick it up even more. And, because now they're excited. They're invested in it, not just from a perspective of they're a professional and they're going to put on a good show for the fans and for the promoter, but they're invested in it because, wow, this is something I'm excited for. And they're going to bring it even more,
when a wrestler wrestles as a fan, I think it brings something really special out in the boys and girls because, like you're saying, that feeling of, excuse me, Sean Leader, Ophidian again.
Yeah, and that was a fantastic match.
He digs the product. He really digs Ophidian, the character, the whole 9 yards. So as a fan, I mean, yeah, you get nervous and all of this stuff like, holy cow, I got to make sure I'm this and I make sure that. But man, I'm telling you, as a fan, being a wrestler and wrestling as a fan has got to be something special that I will never feel because I only weigh 35 pounds and I'm never. But we could see that those moments, we could see that as fans.
Sure.
Because some fans aren't that bright, like myself. But you know what? We are that bright, and we see a lot of things that maybe the men and women don't think we know because fans know everything, if you will, kind of thing. Which I like to kick back, enjoy the show, do my thing, do the networking thing, and
Yeah.
I don't get involved in any of the other business. I don't try to get in their personal life. And can I just say, this is like a PSA, and I don't do these. Ref Nick Knox said at the top of this, he should make a gimmick page, maybe, but just because he has a personal page, as others, men and women do, just because you know it's there or you have maybe become friends with them and they add you, it doesn't mean that you as a fan can get all up in their shit. And I am not. And I'm not trying to profess anything. I am not a squeaky clean guy, but I find a lot that fans think they could just dip their toes into your men and women's personal lives without any notice.
That you are definitely right. Sometimes, a lot of times with social media and just everything right now, sometimes the line does get blurred between the performer and the person. And social media and Facebook and these sort of things, and everybody's a little different on what they're comfortable with, I suppose. But there can be times where trying to sort of draw that line and set some boundaries. And I know there are guys out there who will add people like on their gimmick page, add fans and whatever, but won't do it on their personal page. And some guys don't care. I mean, it's me, nobody's really, I'm a referee. Nobody really, has any concern about me. But I do get friend requests a lot of times, and I'm like, who is this? And, I'll have mutual friends. Like, okay, you can tell from the mutual friends, there's someone in wrestling. Generally, I'll ask my son, Ben, who is this person? And Ben will say, oh, he wrestles at, a test of strength or something. Or, he might just be a fan from someplace, So Ben's usually Ben, who's that guy? Oh, this is so and so and so. Okay, then maybe I'll add them or something. Sometimes I don't.
I will say Ben knows his. He knows who's out there. His eye is on that pulse, and he's a smart kid, man. And he's just getting into the business. And now that I have you on, how does it feel to have your son getting in the game right now? Are you nervous for him? Are you excited? How is this all working?
Well, it's a funny thing because wrestling has been such a big part of our life for like the past 7 or 8 years since and we really got into it, and I've told this story multiple times. You go back 8 years ago, and I had divorced from his mother, and so I have this 11-year-old kid, and I'm trying to figure out this new, single dad type thing. And we had watched WWE on television, so we were already wrestling fans. Didn't know anything about the indies. Kind of wandered into a show, saw this sign, Live Pro Wrestling, wandered into this show, and it was like this whole new world. Here's you're 4 feet from the ring. Guys are coming out, an intermission and taking pictures with him. And, and it just became this thing where it became a thing for us to do as a father-son to go to these shows. And then as it progressed, and you get to know these people, and it's a very, it's a family. The guys, when you start getting involved, RWA, they're family. We throw out around the word, fam all the time, but it's not just a word. Like, that's true. You get, they become your family. And so it's been such a big part of our life all this time. And then, I'm refereeing. And do I get nervous? Sure, like any father would. But I know that he's learning the right way to do it from Brickhouse, and he's passionate about it. So I just told him from the beginning, you want to get into it, you're going to learn the right way. You're gonna go to training, and so far he's been doing pretty good. He's been training a little over a year. He did some House of Brick shows. He's kind of doing his thing, and a lot of the guys, a lot of the veterans in the area, they know him, so they've kind of helped him along and take him under their wing a little bit. But as a father, it gets me excited to see him doing something he's so passionate about.
Because I will say he talks, not just talking to him on like an interview situation, but even seeing him on Facebook, he's always putting guys over every single day, man. Yeah. It's so, I mean, Ben's a good kid. Nick, you did a great job. And wrestling, it got that little bond thing going on because like you were trying to figure out what the hell do I do with him, right. And wrestling is a cool aspect of family. It really is.
Yeah, and it's definitely good to, and now he's at that age, he's 19 years old. Just to have something where it's still kind of that we can do together is still kind of cool. I went when I was 19. The last thing I wanted to do was hang out with my father. And that's nothing against my dad. I was just, But so for him and I to go to a show, and I like to still go to a show that I'm not booked on. Sometimes I like to go and just sit in the crowd and just enjoy it, like you said. Just be a fan. It's great.
Yeah. Now the WWE you mentioned, is that kind of what your go-to was, and that's kind of how when you turn it on? I mean, growing up and turning it on now are two different things. Like I was doing NWA, WCCW, and stuff like that, AWA. Did you grow up on that stuff, or was it basically the WWF and the transition?
Right. No, it was just WWF. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm 48 years old. I'm going to be 49 later this year. I grew up in the 80s. Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage. I grew up in that time, and once in a while, my dad would fork over the bucks for the pay-per-view. We'd watch WrestleMania or something, and had a great time. And then you get out of it, you kind of grow, and I got out of it for a little while. And then in the late 90s, I found myself back there during the Attitude Era with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, and was going to show. I had a group of guys that I worked with that were all wrestling fans, and they got me back into it. So, we'd go to the Dunkin', it was the Civic Center at the time. Now it's the Dunkin' Donuts Center. We'd go when WWE came through for whatever. And then, then life happens, and you kind of get away from it. And then when Ben got a little older and he started watching it on TV, it was like, okay, now we're back. I've told him this story before, though. The day he was born, it was a Friday. And at the time, SmackDown was on Friday nights. So here I am, he was born at 4:30 in the afternoon. So 4 hours later or whatever, I'm in the hospital room. I'm holding him, and I've got SmackDown on TV. So he was kind of destined for it, I guess. he was a few hours old watching SmackDown.
That is so cool, man. That is good stuff. Again, stuff we wouldn't know by hanging out at the show and talking with Ref Nick Knox. That is so awesome. Now I want to get into watch this fight because, man, you guys are doing some fun stuff over there and for amazing causes. Now, take us through what it is, what it stands for, and the color things, because I find it very fascinating.
Sure. So the origins of Watch This Fight go back to about 4 years, in 2016. A friend of mine had Joe Vanaco. He was a firefighter. I work in Cranston, Rhode Island on the Cranston Fire Department. Joe was in the Providence Fire Department. And he had been battling cancer. He had brain cancer. And he passed away. And I wanted to do something for his kids. He has 4 kids that he left behind. And I wanted to do something for them. They had just lost their father. And so I put it out there to my friends in wrestling, what was going on. And people were just like, oh, yeah, definitely, I'll be part of it. So we put together a show. And, it was, there was a fund set up for his kids. And we raised like $700 for his kids' fund. But more than important than that, here's these kids who just lost their father. And so for at least an afternoon, they got to kind of be kids again. They were in the crowd, they were laughing, they were cheering, the wrestlers interacted with them. It was great. And the main event of that show was Mike Bennett, who's Mike Kanellis in WWE, versus Vinny Marseglia, who's in Ring of Honor. I think he's just Vincent in Ring of Honor right now. They were the main event of that show. And, Joe's youngest kid was outside. He's cheering. So at the end, Mike goes out, grabs his kid, brings him into the ring to pin Vinny, like to get the pin, and so, he throws the kid gets the pin on Vinny, and then kid starts kicking Vinny a little bit, and they, so, but it was, like I said, it was just to see these kids having a good time, having what they just went through, and then, so that was in 2016. Now, fast forward to 2018, a couple of years later, one of the guys on my job, Dave Neary, his son Lorenzo had been diagnosed with leukemia. So it was like, wanted to do something again. So I kind of, reached out to my friends and said, hey, we want to do something for Lorenzo. He's bad, his kid, at the time he was 5, now he's 7, but he's 5 years old. He's going through leukemia. Let's try to, let him have some fun, And so everybody was on board. Now, Watch This Fight comes because when Joe was going through cancer, that was his motto, Watch This Fight. They used to sell bracelets, and they would say, Watch This Fight. And so when I was starting these other shows, I reached out to Erin, Joe's wife, and I said, I told her what I'm doing with Lorenzo and everything, and I said, I'd like to use Watch This Fight if it's because Joe was the inspiration for these shows, and I wanted his message to carry through. And so she gave me the blessing to use Watch This Fight. So it became Watch This Fight. And then the colors are because the first one we did was Watch This Fight Orange because it was for Lorenzo. Orange is the leukemia. You see the ribbons, they're different colors. So it was Watch This Fight Orange. And then we do Watch This Fight Pink for breast cancer. Watch This, it just Watch This Fight Blue for autism awareness. Whatever our cause is, we use, that's the color. And it keeps me from having to make up names for shows. It's easy. I don't want to have to, you gotta make up a name for the show coming up. What color? What are we doing? What color is that? It's perfect.
That's awesome, because doing those kooky names like Rumble in Rhode Island, they all get overused and all of that. So hey, hats off to you, man.
But so from 2018 and then 2019, and unfortunately we've only had one show in 2020. We've just because of all this Corona, we got our first show off, Watch This Fight Purple, but we're kind of in that sort of holding pattern like everybody else right now. But we've had like 8 shows. We've been able to raise well over $4,000 for different charities. Sometimes they're for individuals. The first one we did, Orange. For Lorenzo, that money went to the Tomorrow Fund at Hasbro Children's Hospital. We've done it for individual families, and then some like the one we just had, Watch This Fight Purple. We donated the money to an organization called CancerCare.org, that provides resources and financial support and emotional support for families dealing with cancer. So each one has a different cause, and going back to a point I made earlier. So I have a lot of guys that show up, I do like 5 shows a year. I can't do it every month like that. But I have guys that, every time we're getting ready to do a show, I'm in. I can't always use anybody. It's a beautiful problem I have where I have too many people for 2 weeks left. But so, going back to that other thing. So if I can bring a guy up from Chikara or something to give it, in a way, it's sort of giving back to the guys that are there for me show after show, to give them something too, give them someone to work with that they're excited about, someone that maybe is maybe is a step up in for them, a step up in talent, and show that they can go with these guys, and that we're just at the chop shop in Pawtucket, but they can go with these guys from these bigger promotions. So it in a way it gives back to them too. It's like you're there for me. Let me do something for you,
That whole Watch This Fight project is amazing for what it stands for, what you're doing with it each time for something different, maybe a full-blown, charity itself, or a single family. And I hate to interrupt. Who is that? I want the name of that canine right there. Who is that?
That's Izzy.
Izzy, after the one and only Izzy Star?
Well, it is. I would. I mean, I guess we could tell Izzy that it's for him. You know, there's no. That's Izzy. He's one of our two canine kids. Luke is around here somewhere, but
I've seen him making cameos, and I just had to ask.
where is Luke?
But yeah, for what this watch this fight stands for, and everything that you're doing with it, take that. That's in this kind of part of the program. But now you're adding on another element of being able to help out the wrestlers at the same exact time by letting them elevate within their home base. I think you, my friend, are doing an amazing thing with the wrestlers, the charities, families. I mean, there's so many aspects of it, and you are doing an amazing thing, my friend.
Thank you. We're trying. You know, it's a lot of times. Again, when we raise some money, it's great. But sometimes it's just like and I'll use Lorenzo as an example. And that first show, it was great to see this kid who's dealing with chemo and everything to just come and get so excited about wrestlers. And I'm going to tell you a story. So a couple of days ago. And I put it out on Facebook through the Watch This Fight page and everything. We were so excited. So Lorenzo, who was our first show, he had his last chemo treatment. He is now cancer free. He's 7 years old, and it was like an amazing story. And he's our buddy. He's come to several of the shows. Not all of them, but like his family will bring him back, and he'll get excited. And our on that first show, we had a Rumble. Big Rumble show. So we have our big Rumble show every summer. And it is now it's Renzo Rumble, like we had the first one, and then last summer it was Renzo Rumble 2, and come July it'll be Renzo Rumble 3. That's sort of his thing. So he's been our guy, but him and we've also had a young man named Caden who came through, and to see these kids just enjoying themselves, just to this shirt I'm wearing now from our last October, we had Watch This Fight Pink. For this woman, Kat, who was dealing with breast cancer. And unfortunately, Kat was not able to be there just because of her health. But something that people forget now, Kat is married. She's got 2 kids. She's got a husband, and not that, what she's going through is horrible enough, but there is an effect on the family too,
exactly.
Caring for these people so she wasn't able to be there, but her husband came. And her brother, and it was like a guy's night. They just came and they had fun. So even adults, you see, just kind of get out of what their mind, out of their what they're going through for a couple hours and have some fun. And we do raffle prizes and everything. So and the money is nice, but sometimes it's even more just to sort of give these people a break here. Let the kids be kids for a few hours, and let the guys sort of their parents and everything kind of forget everything for a little bit and just watch their kid cheering and cheering the good guys and booing the bad guys. And
I could see Nic Carcieri standing afar watching and just probably having the biggest smile every single second of a watch. I mean, and it's a crazy night. I know you're a promoter, and it's not easy. No. But you still got to be looking back at it and being like, man, this is just awesome, man.
It is fun, and every show there's challenges. There's show days are crazy, and changing things on the fly. Guys can't, something comes up, a guy has an emergency, he can't make it, so you're changing things on the fly. Happens all the time. But it's wrestling, and my real job, like I said, I'm a firefighter, a paramedic. I deal with real stuff in my real job. So wrestling, nothing's gonna I'm not gonna get that upset over wrestling. Like I deal with life and death on a daily basis for real. So what? I got to change a match around. I got to change the card around. We just roll. But it always happens. It always happens. And I was upset because we had a show that was coming up on April 26th, Watch This Fight Blue, which I was really excited for. But, this is the way of the world right now. Hopefully we'll get to reschedule that. We're kind of like a lot of us, though. We're just kind of waiting to see what happens, But we had a good card set up, and it was going to be a good match. But we'll we shall overcome.
Well, I can't wait. And I know I'm not speaking for myself, all the fans, all the men and women waiting to get back in that ring. I mean, we are all kind of in the, I hope that, I know you guys are wrestlers and referees and you have a little, you have a more of a attachment to the business, but I'm telling you, the fans and you guys and girls, I think we're both missing it just the same, man, because I cannot wait to get back.
Yeah, I miss, I miss a lot of it. I miss my friends, like wrestling was always, that was, I go to the chop shop and hang out with my friends, and so, you miss that. But I like what you're, like what you're doing here and putting these out there. It gives people a chance to talk and interact and it's great. And in general, one of the good things that's come out of this last month, in general on social media, and it's not just, I'm not just going to say wrestling, but it's all kinds of people. How many days are you flipping through Facebook and somebody's, doing a free concert on Facebook, or I've seen everything from like, people doing cooking lessons on Facebook, or I have some friends that are in like comic book industry and artists, and they're Facebook Live and they're doing drawing, and it's like, that's one of the good things about that's come out of this sort of sense of we're all in this together. Let's try to help each other out. Let's try to, there's guys that are on just stuck in their house, and maybe we can give somebody a little entertainment, a little bit of a little bit of interaction, and so people are trying. And hopefully things will come back and wrestling will come back and.
So I think you just described what the whole Facebook thing is supposed to actually be, interacting and having fun with each other instead of shoving up missiles up each other's wazoos and putting up dumbass shit.
Yeah.
Nick put it in a nutshell. We're doing our little thing. The Circle, as the band, Sammy Hagar and the boys, they did their own recordings for We Won't Get Fooled Again. I mean, Come on. It was amazing. But those little things are, like you said, we're having fun. We're trying to have fun with it as we're trying to deal with the whole craziness. Yeah. And that's what this is. Exactly. This is part of it, because I'm like, how do I go see my friends?
But, and also with all the craziness going on in the world, for anybody who can send out a little positivity, a little bit of, it's an hour or two of talking to somebody about wrestling, but it's laughing, it's having fun, it's telling some stories, and with all the, negative stuff in the world right now, to put out a little bit of positivity is a good thing. If we all did that, if everybody just took a little time and sent something positive out in the universe, it wouldn't be a bad deal,
Izzy is cute as a button. The tail's been wagging. The tongue has been hanging. Look at him. I mean, come on. How can you not smile when you see Izzy and Nick Knox? I mean, Jesus Christmas.
He's cute and all, but, he's got some bad breath sometimes. So,
Hey, you're lucky you're on that side of the camera. I'm not that clean, okay? Mr. Nic Carcieri.
Yeah, you got it.
Yes, that's like 5 times in one sitting. You, my friend, have been a blessing to us today, because I just got done with that angry Aladdin Ding and the angry Aladdin and the warden, and they were shitting down my throat. This was so pleasant to have you on Stirring the Pot, because this isn't just for me. This is for all of us, the fans, because we love things. When we get to talk to you guys and girls like this, it's nothing like at the shows. And this has been a really, really special one for me, because to watch this fight, I can't stress on how cool I really think that whole thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's just amazing. Before I do let you go, though, how do us, the fans, get to watch this fight? Where do we go to check it out?
Best thing is, Watch This Fight Wrestling on Facebook. We got a Facebook page. Just Watch This Fight Wrestling.
Okay.
We're also on Instagram, Twitter, all the social media things. But Facebook is probably the best thing. Just Watch This Fight Wrestling, and try to put out content as often as I can. About upcoming shows and everything like that, and
cool.
Keep everybody in the loop of what's going on.
That's what we like. We're very easy as fans. Just give us a little something, and we love it. It doesn't matter. Nic Carcieri, you've been an absolute delight tonight, and I cannot thank you enough for spending the time with my silliness, because we've had some fun here, man. We got some laughs. We met Izzy. Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, that was really cool. And I'm glad that the fam and everybody's good.
Yes,
that's
thank
good
you
to
very
hear.
much. Thank you very much.
This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, and I'm not going to F it up because that would suck at the end. One ref Nick Knox. Nick Knox.
There you go.
Yeah, I can do that one. Thank you, my friend.
All right, thank you.